Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Growing Happy Babies Birthworkers interview series. In this podcast directory, I make sure that you have the easiest possible time deciding which wonderful birth supporter is right for inviting into your family's journey. All the potential members of your essential prenatal and postpartum village are assembled right here in the Growing Happy Babies directory. Doulas, midwives, prenatal and infant body workers, lactation consultants, and so much more. I'm Adina Kopinski, board-certified lactation consultant and fellow mom. Together, we transition more easily into motherhood. Let's grow some happy babies together. Hello, everyone, and welcome today. We are going to be speaking with Jodi Stender. She is a nurse, a midwife, and a prenatal body worker. And she is just the answer to your pregnancy needs. Hi, Jodi.
Hi, Adina. First of all, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for asking me. And I really am not the answer to all your needs, but I will try to meet your needs as a woman. And I'm also really happy when women contact me and I'm also able to say, I'm not able to help you, but this is who can help you.
Well, so. I oversold you, but then you had a wonderful answer, so it all worked out.
Right.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you got into the field of whatever you started in first? Maybe it's midwifery. What drew you to your calling?
It's actually a funny story. I got here by accident, but I guess in life there are no accidents. God has a plan, and there is a plan. But it definitely wasn't my whole life's dream. I'm going to be a midwife, a body worker. This is my path. I've been preparing since gone for this. My path, instead of it being straight, was kind of like this. My husband and I'm married to Zev. We got married and we made Aliyah a week and a half after our wedding to Nachlaot. And we made Aliyah and we were trying to figure it out. And a friend of mine called me and said, I'm going to a doula course. You want to come? And I said, what's a doula? Okay. I didn't know what a doula was. And she explained to me what a doula was. And I was like, oh, that sounds great. I'm going to want to have kids one day. This is great. And that was the attitude that I went to the doula course. And then from the first doula course, from the first day, it was as if someone had opened my eyes to this entire world that I didn't even know existed. And every step of the doula course and every birth I was at, it was as if I had this yearning to dig deeper and deeper and understand more and learn more. And every time I learned something, I said, oh, I want to go deeper. There's more. And then I realized as a doula, my ability to help women is limited. You have your scope of practice and you have the things that you understand and the things that you are able to do and the way you were able to help women. And I felt like my hands were tied. And I was like, I want to do more. I want to give women more choices, more options. And I want to have a say, especially in the delivery room, in the hospital, or at home. I want to have the backbone and the legs and the knowledge and the understanding to say something. So I did some research and I understood that in order to be a midwife, you have to be a nurse first in this country. So I went to nursing school at Hebrew U, and the path didn't go as quickly as I would have liked. I originally had planned to go to nursing school and then right away become a midwife, but life happened. And after I graduated nursing school, I spent some time working in the NICU, where today, as a midwife, I am so grateful to every single minute I spent in the NICU, because the knowledge and the skills and the understanding of how to help babies who might not be feeling so great, and also the ability to know when the baby's fine and we could all take a deep breath is invaluable. So I'm very grateful to that. And then after some time in the NICU, I went to school to become a midwife.
So we already have a little inkling of the answer to this, but can you expand more on perhaps what really sets you apart? What's your area of expertise that's more than just your title?
It's a hard question to answer because I think every person who has a title in the end is different.
Oh, I agree. That's why I asked.
Because we all receive the same information. You and I could be sitting in the same class and I'll walk away with one message and you'll walk away with another. So I think every midwife is different, and that's good because every woman is different and every woman needs something else. So I think that's the special thing about that every midwife's different. But what really I think separates me apart is that I think the fact that I was a doula first and then became a midwife, I'm coming from a different perspective. But I feel that my ability to understand women, most of those skills I got as a doula, not as a midwife. My ability also to understand certain nuances in birth, because I didn't have the medical training to necessarily check women or do other things. I had to learn and use all these other senses and all these other skills, which have only made me a better midwife.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And can you tell us a little bit more about your work as a body worker? Because that does feel a little bit extra.
And I learned what's called equilibrio. For those of you who don't know, it's a treatment that was designed by Rachel Shapiro, and I have all the love and respect and gratitude to this midwife. And she lives here in Israel. She's from the States, and she brought this treatment to Israel. And what it is, it's pelvic alignment and uterine alignment that you can do throughout your fertility period for women who are having infertility struggles or trying to get pregnant, during the prenatal period, and postpartum. It can also help with the recovery in postpartum. And what the body work does, it's basically the answer to everything. And I know that sounds crazy, but when birth, pregnancy, it's like a puzzle. And when all the pieces are in place, the puzzle works beautifully. Women get pregnant, women birth their babies, women recover from postpartum. But when a piece of the puzzle isn't lined up, we have what we call takalot, or we have bumps in the road. So the whole idea of this treatment is to help restore the balance, our natural balance. And what does that mean if you are having back pain, if you're having shortness of breath, if you're having pelvic pain, you're having pain during intercourse? And the list goes on for all the things that the body work can treat. And as a midwife, I have a private practice where I see women throughout their pregnancy. And I kept hitting the same roadblock or the same problem, that women were coming with these complaints of, I have heartburn, I have pelvic pain, I'm so uncomfortable, and I still have 2 months left to my pregnancy. What am I supposed to do? And I felt like as a midwife, I didn't have the answer. I had the conventional things that people told me. And then I heard about equilibrio and I did more research and I met Rachel and I was like, oh my God, you can be more comfortable in your pregnancy. You can have a smoother birth and you can have a smoother postpartum and recovery by just helping you restore the balance that you originally had.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I have a somewhat similar trajectory, which is that once I started learning about infant body work and incorporating it into my lactation care, the babies who couldn't latch or couldn't latch in a way that was comfortable for their mother, they just got better so much faster. Because if your body's uncomfortable or out of alignment anywhere, it affects everywhere.
Exactly.
Can you tell us a story of maybe, an interaction or a birth you attended that would give help or insight or inspiration to the families listening to us right now?
So when we talked before, I had told you that this is always a really hard question for me to answer. And I've been on other podcasts and had other interviews, and always people want to hear the stories. And as a midwife, I am such a big believer that women's births are their stories to tell. They're not my stories. I thank God I'm a mom to 4 boys. We have that, the Mom of Boys Club we have here.
Yeah.
And I have my 4 fantastic, challenging birth stories that I had, and they're not my stories to share. But when I was really thinking of what type of story would I want to give over to help women, and so women can hear, I was thinking that there was a woman that she came in. I even remember what room I was in Shaare Zedek. I was in room 57. And for those of you who've ever been in Shaare Zedek, it's like a really nice new room with a new parquet on the floor. And this woman came in, and it was her 6th birth, and she was 5 or 6 centimeters. She was having regular contractions, and she came in. And I said to her, "What do you want to do right now?" And she looked at me as with this shock on her face of, what do you mean? What do I want to do? Like, as if I asked her, like, are you an alien? Like, she looked at me as if and I was like, maybe it's, and because I'm American, and also it was the middle of the night, I was like, maybe I like made a really big Hebrew mistake that could happen. Like, you assume it's like a language thing. And I said to her, I mean, you're 5 or 6 centimeters. Do you want something for pain? Do you want to go in the shower? Do you want to walk around the room? What do you want to do? And she was so shocked that and then we continued talking, and in between contractions, obviously, we continued talking, and she was like, no one ever asked me what I want to do. I've always come in, and then they tell me, we're going on a monitor, we're doing this is the next step. So I didn't understand, because I was waiting for you to tell me what we're doing next.
Wow.
And I was so taken aback by what she said. And this wasn't her first birth. This wasn't her second birth. And I think sometimes we spend a lot of time, especially working in a hospital, you get into a routine, or you get into okay, now you need a monitor, or now you need this, or now because of protocols, or because of habit, or because of that's how we were learned. And this woman was so shocked, because no one ever asked her, what do you want? What do you want to do? And it took her a few minutes to even figure out how to answer the question, because she was so not used to being asked, well, what do you want to do now? It's your birth, it's your baby, it's your body. What do you want to do? And I, as a midwife, am such a big believer. The woman knows so much better than me. So much better. I could say, oh, you should be in this position, and this position is better, and oh, let's do this and let's do that. And if I just take a moment and ask the woman, she's going to tell me how her leg has to be, or how to move her back, because she knows. But we somehow lost this ability to listen to ourselves. And I think the biggest lesson that this woman gave to me was that we have to restore to women the ability to listen to themselves and their bodies, because the only way you can, what's the whole point of all of this pregnancy and birth and is you're a mother. Like that's what happens after. And the only way to be a mother is you have to have this ability to listen to yourself as to what to do. Because when it's 3:00 in the morning and your baby's crying or something's happening, no one's going to tell you. Like, you have to. But I think this is a muscle that we need to develop before. And if we ask women what they want in their births and while they're birthing, and they use that muscle and they do those things, then it's so much easier for them after. And also they know, and once they've successfully birthed, as a result of listening to themselves, not to the midwife, not to the doula, not to the doctor, but to themselves, they will be such stronger women, who will therefore be such stronger mothers, because they won't have this moment of, well, I don't know, let me add that. They'll be like, no, I know because I pushed you out, and I know because I can. And that, what I always knew that, but this woman reinforced it in a way that I was like, this is why I'm here.
Yeah.
And that's what, and then in the end, she had like such a gorgeous birth, and it was fantastic. But it was the moments before that stays with me.
Wow. You might have transformed her life just with that question. Sometimes a question comes to us in life and it forces us to reckon with things we didn't think about,
right,
like,
for sure.
These things are gifts.
Right. And I'm grateful that at that moment I thought to ask the right question. I'm grateful that I always tell women before I go into work or go into a delivery room, I always take a second and I daven that I am the midwife that this woman needs, and not the midwife that I think I should be. And that I will say the right things that she needs to hear, and that I will do the right things that she needs. And that story only made that even more, that it's not always about, sometimes we also have the best intentions. Like, I think every midwife wants women to have good births. Mm-hmm. But I think sometimes we get caught up in it, and we think it should be this way, or it should be this way, or and we need to. I always pray that I am able to be the midwife that woman needs, which might be very, very different than the midwife that I need as a woman.
Yeah. That's so important for all clinicians, no matter what they do, to remember that the person in front of them is much more important than the protocols they learned. This applies to everyone. This applies to me. I can't walk into a lactation consult, thinking about what I know. I have to think about what they need and then fit what I know into that. Exactly. They don't fit into what I know. I fit into what they need. And
exactly.
That's just the mark of good care.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
People-centered care.
And I think especially everything having to do with mothers and babies and lactation consultant and everything, you have to remember there's a woman there, and there's a woman who has so many layers and so many things that she has been through in her life that you have no concept at all. And we have to always, and this is myself included, check ourselves and make sure that we're providing the care that she needs and not the care that we think she needs. Mm-hmm. And I think it's very easy to get caught in protocols. And as someone who's worked in a hospital for many years, protocols keep us safe. They do. They keep us safe, and they keep women safe, and they protect people. But we have to be able to see where the protocol ends and the woman starts, and be able to fuse them together.
Jodi, other than making sure to give birth at the hospital where you're working during the shift that you have that week, how would women?
So first of all, just when you say that, I will tell you the answer I tell women when they say, what days are you working and what time should I come? So first of all, God already decided every single birth that I'm going to be at for the rest of my life. If I'm meant to be there, I will be there. And if I'm not there, that means you don't need me. So that's the first thing. And that is my real true belief. But other ways that you can find me is on, I do a lot outside of my time in the hospital as well. So I have a separate business. It's called J&R Side by Side, where I work with my partner, Roz Goldberg. Roz is a trauma and a grief counselor, and she works with women who have had stillbirths, miscarriages, loss, going through their infertility journey. She provides support groups and also one-on-one care. So that's just good for women to know. And we are partners in that together. We created J&R Side by Side in hopes to meet all of women's needs surrounding infertility, fertility, birth, pregnancy, postpartum, which means I do what's called midwifery consultation. And I also do prenatal care, which the midwifery consultation, what that means is it could mean anything. You just made Aliyah and you're pregnant and you have no idea if you need a blood test or an ultrasound or where to go or how to do it and what is Kupat Cholim and where do I give birth and are there birthing centers and can I give birth at home? Can I give birth in a hospital? What do I have to pay? There's that whole aspect of it that I guide Olim through the pregnancy and birth process. And I always feel that it's important for Olim to have information and to understand what their choices are. And I also do consultation for things not connected to that. You've been diagnosed with gestational diabetes and you're not really sure how to handle that. Or you have been given 15 hafnayot for a million different tests and you don't really understand what they are. And you want to understand what are these prenatal tests and what are they for? And I always tell women, I don't tell you what to test for. That's not my job. My job is to give you the information, what the test is, who is it meant for, and what the results mean. And then you decide if you and your baby need that test or not. So it's to give you all that information. I also do prenatal education. I do group courses. I do one-on-one. I also do specialty courses for VBACs and water births. I also do specialty courses for women who've had traumatic births or women who the birth wasn't necessarily what they would call traumatic, but it didn't necessarily go as planned. So we try to set ourselves up for a different outcome. I also do planned C-section courses because there are women for medical reasons that need a C-section. And I saw that there are no courses for that. So women just walk into a C-section. They didn't get any information about lactation after, about breastfeeding, about skin to skin, about bonding, about prep for the C-section. What is a C-section? That's also, so I do that. And then I do the equilibrio and the body work. You can find me either on Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah.
I'll pop up or on our website.
Yeah, your website will be linked under the interview. I hope Roz will be in the directory one day too. If you could give a pregnant woman just one piece of advice, what would it be?
This is always a hard question because so many things always pop into my mind, but then I take a minute and I'm like, what is the thing? Because I don't think all advice is necessarily universal for everybody. But the one piece of advice is that you have to remember that you were designed to birth your baby. In whatever way you were designed to do it, you were designed to birth your baby. You grew your baby, you've taken care of your baby, and you will deliver your baby.
Yeah.
And there might be bumps along the way where people might lead you to doubt yourself. And I want you to go back to that place of, I grew my baby, I've taken care of my baby, and now I can deliver my baby.
Yeah, absolutely. That's beautiful. Thank you so much for being here today, Jodi.
My pleasure, Adina. Thank you. It was really an honor.
Friends, check out the full directory for every interview we've done up until now, housed at my website, growinghappybabies.com. But before you go, I've got one question. Are you the kind of person who learns better by listening or by doing? In my 2-part online prenatal breastfeeding class, the Pocket Prenatal, I blend the basics of breastfeeding with practical hands-on skills. Choose to watch the videos on your computer or phone, read through the transcripts, or pop in an earbud, take a walk, and listen to the audio-only podcast version. After you've dived into the what's and whys of breastfeeding, join part 2, our live hands-on class, where we roll up our sleeves and practice the how of breastfeeding. Experience hand expression, learn how to size yourself for better pumping, practice bottle feeding techniques that improve your baby's sucking skills, and use easy bodywork exercises to help your baby's comfort, sleep, and digestion. You're going to walk out of this class with an essential toolkit for navigating early motherhood. This is the class every baby needs their mother to take. Go to thepocketprenatal.com and use your listener code, growinghappybabies, for a special 10% discount. See you there.